Hello and welcome to Keep Hope Alive podcast. Today we have an amazing show for you. I have the pleasure of welcoming Kristina and Heagh-Avritt with us. They are a vibrant family educator, and we are going to dive into their story of what they actually do, the fun times, the challenging times. We're going to just hear their whole story. So, welcome.
Thank you for having us. We are really excited about sharing our story and being here with you tonight.
Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. So, really quick, before we get started, let's have a little bit of fun here. Out of the past 10 to 15 years, how many weddings have you been to?
Only about two.
Two. Okay. Well, let's say we're going to one of those weddings. It's a ceremony. Let's pretend we're walking into a church or something. Usually there's something to sign that lets the bride and groom know you were there. What are you signing?
We're signing that guest book.
Hey, great. Good answer. So, with Keep Up Alive, one of our sponsors is lifeonrecord.com. So, instead of that beautiful guest book, they put a vintage phone, rotary phone, which is really pretty. And your guest can pick up the phone and leave a message. Congratulations on your big day. Or maybe it's a groomsman going, hey, it's about time you put a ring on our finger. So, what they do right next to the phone, I like this idea too. They have a QR code you can scan with your own cell phone if you didn't want to use the vintage phone. So that way you can do it before or after the event and leave that message for the couple. Now, I always use wedding as a sample, but this can go for any event. Now, you're getting the gift of voice, hearing everybody's voice congratulate you. What they'll do is burn it on a 12-inch vinyl record, or they have a keepsake speaker, and I call it the little boom box, but it's cute. So when you're celebrating like that 1 year anniversary, getting the cake out, hoping it's still good, you can hit play or put on the record and listen and have those memories come rushing back and everything. So their plans are $99. You get the phone number for a year. So you do have to return the beautiful vintage phone. But even before your 1 year anniversary, if you send a reminder with the phone number, they can call in and wish you a happy anniversary too, and they'll get that on there for you. So to find out more information, please visit www.lifeonrecord.com. All right, so here we go. Kristina and Herb. I'm going to ask, who are you guys?
Well, we are Vibrant Family Education, like you said in the beginning, but we are also a couple who have been through the thick and thin of it for 33 years. We've been married for 33 years. And then we decided that it was time to take my 27 years of teaching experience and his business and entrepreneurship and blend it into this company called Vibrant Family Education, because our whole goal is to make sure that families are getting what they need to support their children in their education. And when I say education, it's not just the academics, it's the whole life education, the whole child. So taking my 27 years of experience and all of the things that I have ever done to help parents kind of coach them through working with their kids, making sure the education is working for their child, I bring that to Vibrant Family Education. And this guy,
I'm more of like the inspiration behind the project. I was an entrepreneur for a lot of years, and then I suffered a traumatic brain injury, and my life came kind of crashing down. I got into a really dark place for a long time, and once I kind of started crawling out of that, I weirdly ended up in Montana. We live in Oregon. I was helping a friend move to Montana, and for helping her move, she was like, oh, my girlfriend's boyfriend is doing this thing where he helps people put their business in an elevator pitch. And I had just become an integration coach. And I went to this event, and when I walked into it after being an entrepreneur for a lot of years, it's like, oh, this is a sales event for some sort of a thing. And I remember walking in and saying, man, I'm a mess. I'm not supposed to be here. But I talked with the guy for a while and decided to stick around. And at the end of the event, after not really participating, because there was a lot of things that went on and I didn't really participate. But at the end of the event, I had this message. A lot of years ago, I kind of woke up in my driveway one day and I saw this vision of, I was like, so God, why am I standing here in my driveway? And I got this download of this school, of this news kind of a school system. And, my first thought was, I'm not worthy of that. And I got this message, not yet. And then after I hurt my head and everything fell apart, at the end of this event, I got another message. It's like, okay, this is the last thing. Tell them about your school, as we got up on stage and we're supposed to give speeches. And he's like, and I was kind of in tears and was like, you took that away from me. And it's like, it's not yours anymore. It's for the parents. And so after not participating in this event, I got up and I followed the prompts and I gave the speech about the school that we had. And I blew the guy away. He's like, do you really have that? That's amazing. And it's like, well, I don't, but we do. And she wasn't there with me.
No.
And so I ended up calling her up on the phone and was like, you're not going to believe this. Our school's going to be coming about. And she still, even though I was still kind of a wreck from the traumatic brain injuries, she still trusted me. And the way schools were going, because this was kind of during the pandemic era,
Right at the end,
and a lot of the stuff was kind of against our values. She wanted out of the education system after 27 years, and this was a way to move back into education, but in a way that helps families, in a way that they can keep their traditional values intact, because along the way we actually kind of messed up and lost contact with one of our sons. One of my sons doesn't talk to us anymore.
Oh, I'm
And
so sorry.
that pain is also part of why we're doing this, so that, because we lost them in the school system. And we know a lot of parents, I know a lot of people my age whose children went off to school and now their children don't talk to them anymore because they got moved so far away from their family values. So part of what we're doing is not just about the education aspect of it. It's about helping, especially entrepreneurs who don't get to spend a lot of time with their family, bring their family back into what matters. Because so many entrepreneurs are out there doing what they do for their family, but it's so much more work than they expected. It takes so much more time that they end up losing their family as they're trying to save their family. So this all came about to really try and help entrepreneurs avoid what we did with the loss of our son, who's still alive but doesn't talk to us. And it's just so, it's helping families, not just the education, but through the communication and keeping their families together.
Yes, and I know I'm a single mom. My son, he just started school today, 7th grade middle school, and he is a football player. So he's going to be doing football at the middle school. But we also, or I have him on another team that is 45 minutes away from our house that meets on the weekends and some school days, for all that. But the lines of communication. So as a single mom, you got to have a full-time job, right? I got to pay the bills. And then I'm like, okay, I'm a photographer also. And now I have a podcast. So we look at it, and I've been trying to evaluate my time management. And I go, I'm giving my kiddo Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday morning. And then I'm going to try to work on the podcast on the weekend because I can't have the podcast interfere with that job. But it comes down to time management, and communication is so important. So, today was the first day I kind of like got a 15-minute break, and I'm like on Messenger going, how was your first day of school? Like, that is important to me that we have that line of communication. What his hobbies are, if I am doing a podcast, he's out fishing. What you catch, it's this kind of fish. I go, "A what?" Because I just want him to educate me and keep that. So yeah, it's really important what you guys are doing, because what it comes down to, a lot of people are working so hard, and we want the best for our kiddos. So if the parents can also learn from you guys of what to do and how to balance that, that is amazing. So, all right. Do you have any like interesting examples of people you helped and stuff and what that process was like?
So one of the families that comes to mind right away was a family who was really struggling around the homework time. They came to me and talked to me, and they said, the wife wants to do homework this way, the husband wants to do homework this way, the kids are caught in the middle, and we really, it's just a really bad thing right now. It's just really messed up. And so I started talking to them and I said, okay, well, tell me what homework time looks like. And the dad is like, well, the kids need to come home and they need to sit down and do it right away. So it's all done and out of the way and da, 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 da. And the wife is like, no, 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 they need to do it later in the evening when you're around so that you understand what they're doing and that you are also involved, et cetera, et cetera. And like, you're both kind of right and you're both kind of wrong. So
Yeah, I
then I
can
went into
see.
teacher mode, into the think about what your child needs as well as what the family needs, right? And
Yeah.
so what that really looked like was when the kids come home from school, they are already worn out from doing their best at school all day long. And to
Hmm.
expect them to sit down at the table and do homework immediately doesn't meet their needs.
Yeah.
So what if we tried this? And so then I gave them the whole scenarios, like when the kids come home, they get a break, they get a snack, they get some quiet time. That doesn't necessarily mean electronics. They do something that can really let them kind of process the day and settle down. Hopefully it's reading, maybe it's just laying quietly in the room, maybe it's building with Legos, whatever they need to kind of like recenter themselves.
Hmm.
And then what if homework ended up being around the time that mom or dad were fixing dinner? So they're sitting at the table working on their homework. The mom or dad, whoever's cooking, is in the kitchen, is there to help if needed, but then they have a
Hmm.
set time that their family is together. They're working on things together. They have a process and a routine, and then they have it done around dinner time. They have dinner time together, and then they have the rest of the evening as a family to do A, B, or C, whatever they need to get done. And the family put that into place and they said, wow, what a change. That was a
Yeah.
good tweak to the system that gave us family time, gave us routine and structure, and then helped the kids also get what they needed.
That is good. And with that, have you heard of parents? I overheard this at football practice. I haven't done it with my son yet, but screen time, locking it down, making sure they do their homework. But like, I guess I would like advice. Is that going to make the kiddo mad and upset and be like, why'd you do this to me? Do you not trust me that I think when it comes down to with AI being here and chat GPT, like I know my son already uses a chat GPT. He wrote a letter
Yeah.
to his friend and it was like perfect. And I was like, no, this is not you. Like I was like, it feels like to me they're cheating, but or even having Alexa, there and being, hey, what's the answer to this? Da, 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 to get those answers quicker. So, but with schools now, do you see what is it, 7 or 8 subjects even for middle schoolers?
Mhm.
They're getting bombarded, like each class, and they have to have it done. And with rules with sports now, I learned, but I also think on the outside, even if the kid is not in sports, you still need to have it done. If you don't get it done in your sports, you're not going to be able to play. And then you're going to end up tutoring, getting it done. Now, what I like with the school, they give it this little break period. I forgot what they call it, but you can sit there and take use of it and try to get your homework done with that time and then move to the next class. So yeah, but unwinding, like you said, I remember coming home, snack. Just let me watch. Back in the day, it was just cartoon. We didn't have cell phones or
Exactly.
internet, like all that. It was starting out for us, but yeah. So
Matter of fact, we
that's
would run home from the bus. How fast can we get there? Because otherwise we're going to miss the first 5 minutes of the cartoon.
I know, right? Yeah, those were the easy days or playing with the friends.
Yep.
I remember skateboarding or playing soccer or basketball with my brother and his friends and stuff. That had to be there. So yeah, other than that, when you guys let's go back to Herb really quick. I
Well,
want to
yeah,
know
before
in
we do that, there was something you said that I would like to actually address there. You said,
okay,
what if your kids get mad at you? Okay.
yeah,
So
That's
you're not your children's friend.
I
You're
know.
your role as a parent is not to not make your children mad. Your role as a parent is to raise a healthy, happy adult. Okay.
Mhm.
To give them the tools that they need. And if you do something that they don't necessarily agree with, well, they're little kids. How smart were you when you were in seventh grade? Okay. Seriously. How
Yeah.
smart now that you can look at it now, it's like you thought you knew everything, and then you grew up, and the older you get, the more you realize you don't know anything. And as a 12-year-old, you don't know anything. You are not
Yeah.
there to be your child's friend. Okay. Now, it doesn't
Yeah.
mean you can't be nice to them. It doesn't mean you can't love them, but oh, they're going to get mad. So let them get mad. They're going to have to learn how they're going to get mad as an adult. And if they throw tantrums and they're not going to throw tantrums at work and get their way when they're 20. So
Yeah.
let them throw tantrums, let them be unhappy. We offer tools to deal with that as well. But yeah, so our goal is not to be friendly parents. Our goal is to be informed, well-educated parents and nurturing.
Like
Nurturing. Yeah.
good communication, making sure that you really talk about what's going on. They can't be mad at you if you're letting them know, I do this for your safety, because there's a lot
Yeah.
of crazy stuff out there online, right? I do
Yeah.
this for your health. If you don't get enough sleep, if you don't get the
Yeah.
proper nutrition and exercise, you're not going to be healthy. I'm doing this for the betterment of you. So guess what?
Mhm.
Yeah, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
dopamine that comes with a lot of those
Dopamine.
applications.
Yeah.
And if they wipe out their dopamine system, then a lot of this ADHD stuff isn't necessarily ADHD. It's a dopamine deficiency because they get addicted to these electronics. And so
Electronics.
there's so
Yeah.
many different reasons for some of the things that are out there. And again, it's like your goal as a parent is to raise your children safely into adults. It's not to be their friend. And
Yeah.
that sounds harsh, but
But
you can,
yeah.
if you do it right, then you will have your children with you throughout your whole life. But if
Yeah.
it's like if you try and be their friend, then when suddenly you're not their friend, they go away.
Yeah, I know my son, I had to put my foot down. Oh my goodness. And, maybe it's just my luck, but when he was younger, he had to go through testing and he was tested. And after 1 year, they're like, you have a genius on your hands. I go, what? A
Poor
genius?
kid.
And
Poor kid.
I was just like, oh my gosh, he's in advanced classes this year. And I'm like, okay, but it hit Liam, my son, every time I talk to him, he'll be like, "And why? And why?" So it's a
Mhm.
whole different culture set with these kids. It's like, okay, I have to put my foot down as a single parent. I have to be mom and dad. And like, if something is not right, it's not right. And if I want homework done, I want it done. If he has, why does it need to be now? Well, it can be an hour from now if you need a little rest, but you have to do this. And, it's just one of those things I think kids, when I was younger, I would go to the bathroom and just like if I had a cell phone back in the day, I'd probably take the cell phone to have more me time. But those tricks kids like to play, I guess the parents you would advise be more keen to that. Um, I know the way I was brought up with my mom, even eating dinners, it was like, it will make you smarter if you eat your peas and carrots. And I'm like, no, it won't. you know, Here, let me just dish them out and throw them in the toilet, flush it down. I was a bad kid, I guess. So, but, other than that, it's just one of those things you want them to grow up, but you also need to have that routine of the family balance and how it should go. So there was times I hated doing homework, but then I felt good doing it as I got older and older, and I understand why I needed to do it now. So And it's funny because I'm at work and I'm learning. I've only been there for almost a month now, but I'm like ready to tell them, hey, throw more stuff at me. I got this, you know? And it's just, if you have that positive look on things of learning, it goes smoother. So making it fun for the kids, right? So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, I mean, here you come together. We got business and then educator from the past. You put together the pieces. And from there, like with marketing strategies for your company now, like, how are you getting the business for people coming in to get help? I guess is what I'm trying to ask.
Well, a lot of it right now is definitely through the social media, so Facebook, Instagram, etc. So the reels, the content, all of those kinds of things. But one of the biggest things that we do right now is actually we're speakers as well. So we are podcasters. We have our own podcast.
Yay.
And then I also, Herb also, we also go out and do speaking on summits and workshops and things like that. So we are being speakers as well to help bring in our clientele and help them really know who we are, what we do, and what we stand for.
Yeah, like one of our signature talks is the 3 myths about homeschooling, because we really want to help people get their children out of school.
Yeah.
And so like one of the myths is like, I don't have the time to do it.
Yeah.
But if it, because most people think, oh, I have to replicate school and I have to be there for my children for 7 or 8 hours to make sure they have the schooling. Whereas really they only need to be with the child through the education aspect of it for
The
2 or 3
academics.
hours a day. That is really all the academics. And once they get the routine set up, then they just have to make sure that the kid starts. They don't have to necessarily be there as the teacher through the whole thing. And then the responsibility goes into what they can do. It's like, so taking them to the zoo, taking them to social events, taking them to museums and doing
Yeah.
the fun stuff with the children, and using those fun things as learning opportunities, taking them to dance class. Most people think, oh, my son's in sports, I won't be able to do that. But the cool thing about homeschooling is if you're homeschooling your child, then your local school district, your kid can still go and play the after school sports. They can most of them,
most states.
So they can still go and do the after school programs that are there, even if they're homeschooled. So they can still get those aspects of it. And most people don't have that understanding that that's even available. So that's like one of the things that we talk about is
you
it
actually
doesn't
have
take
more time than you think
especially
to make it happen.
Especially as an entrepreneur, because in so many places busing has gone away. So that hour you have to take to get your kid ready and drive them to school and wait in line, and then the hour and a half because you have to get there early to get in line to pick them up at the school and wait through all of that traffic. That 2 or 3 hours of getting the kids back to school each day, that's your whole day. And you could let your kids sleep in, fix them a good meal at home, get them, and then you have more time for yourself and your business as you don't have to run back and forth to the school. And then when you do have time for them, then you get to do the fun stuff.
Yeah, I've talked to other people who done homeschooling and their kids absolutely love it. I had one mother I met, she said that when her child had to go to the bathroom, she was told, no, no, you can't go right now. But she had a condition where she had to go. So she ended up taking out of public schools into doing homeschooling. Now, I know Liam is always like, every time school starts, I just want to go back to homeschooling. And they did it over Zoom. So that's my next question for you. Do you guys do like consultations with the parents and meet them over Zoom meetings and stuff? And if you're working with the kiddos, is it done by Zoom around the world that you help? And then also, here's another question. Sorry, I got 3 in a row. Have you guys thought about offering in different languages?
Got it. Great question. So yes, most of our coaching and parent consultations and things are over Zoom online because we are nationwide, right? I work with children. It is, of course, online across the board as well. But right now, the main program that I'm working with is that beginning homeschooling. So we really help the parent, the family get set up, choose the curriculum they're going to use. And then I help with making sure that the kids are on the level that they need to be on, the assessments, making sure that the curriculum is a good fit and meets the family's needs. And that's where this beauty of the hybrid learning, where you have an online curriculum with the parent at home that can work together. Yeah, that's where all the teaching and stuff comes in. So absolutely. And in other languages, no, I'm not there yet. I'm just ready to be here in the United States. There's plenty of variety already, but you never know, in the future, maybe so. But right now it's just,
If their parents do want a foreign language, then we can bring in that module, but we're not necessarily working with other languages as a base.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Now, also, it's got me thinking about state tests. Do you do the state tests that are required, or is that just like a public school thing that they check on the teachers? I don't know.
So that is a state by state thing. So
Yeah.
you have to, when you go into homeschooling, you need to check with your state regulations, right? Some states are what's called low to no regulations, where basically you fill out a form saying, I'm homeschooling my child. And they say, all right, let us know if you need anything. Those are kind of the easiest states, right? Then there's the medium states where there's a little bit of check-in, whether you have to report how many hours you were teaching, what kind of curriculum you're using, things like that. So there's some check-in, right? And then there's those higher requirement states that actually make them take the state tests. So then you have to find somebody to give them that test. So usually, like in Oregon, we have what's called regional education service districts, so the ESD. And so then the parents would have to get a hold of the ESD. The ESD would say, okay, your child it's time for them to be tested at 3rd grade, 5th grade, 8th grade, etc. You need to come to our location and we need to give them the test, or you need to get a hold of this company and they will help give you the test. So we help those parents navigate and find out those kinds of things. I don't do it personally.
Okay. I keep getting questions for you. I guess this is a good thing. So, do you ever have a client and the kid was like, "Hey, I know I want to be a lawyer one day," but they're like in 1st or 2nd grade, but they kind of want to have a goal structure of what each year might look like and how can they get later, like in 9th, 10th, 11th, to start looking at funding for different schools. Like, if they did want to go to college,
So
coming out of
that's
homeschool.
we've actually had several people on our podcast that deal specifically with that. But
Okay.
one of the interesting things about homeschooling right now is colleges are really looking forward to and have a higher standard for homeschooling for kids who've gone through homeschooling. So when a child says they're homeschooled, colleges open up so much easier for them.
They're like, come on in.
One, because they are so much more well-rounded and grounded. They have a better grasp of the education system. It used to be that the homeschooling kids were the weird ones and the weird homeschoolers. But now if you kind of look at our society, the people coming out of public education are the weird ones, and the ones who are coming out of homeschooling are much more grounded. And so there's a lot more money. There's a lot more money for homeschooled kids, and there's programs that we have that help people start figuring that out earlier. And another thing is homeschoolers, like if they want to be a lawyer, there's only 2 or 3 hours a day where there's academic stuff that's really critical, the reading, the writing, the arithmetic. And then if they're really interested in being a lawyer, then they have a lot of time during the day to start exploring that, to start figuring that out. And as our model kind of teaches them how to teach themselves, it makes them start pulling their learning in. Then they can go online and start pulling their own resources. They can go start finding their own ways to get these things. And they can, in 6 months, a year, they can really figure out if that's what they want to do, and then start pulling in resources and their own learning material and really double down. If they're into art, they get to spend a lot more hours doing art. And if they're into web design, they get to spend a lot of time doing web design until they become experts of it in a really short matter of time on their own. So as far as future careers, as the homeschooling that we coach, they have so much more opportunity to really dig into their individual wants and desires, as opposed to the public education system, which is very regimented and in the box.
I agree with that. I mean, graduated in 97. I felt rushed towards 10th, 11th, and 12th. Make up your mind what you want to do with your life. But my 14-year-old, or no, sorry, I was younger, 8 years old, maybe playing with Barbies. I've always wanted to be a wedding planner, but there wasn't really a course that just focused on that at the time. So I followed the hotel, restaurant, hospitality industry and took jobs like, hey, I'm going to work here to gain this experience and here and here and here. And that's what I did. And I remember going on scholarship to a community college for the hotel restaurant management. But I was like, what am I doing here, God? Like, I'm in accounting. I don't like accounting. But like, is it going to really help me? And I remember this day like it was yesterday. I got home to my apartment and there was a fly and I got the green sheet paper and I smacked it and I got it, but it fell out of my hand. And when I went down, they had a big circle for an ad. Macy's Dallas Galleria needs a full-time bridal consultant. And I just dialed right away. They're
Yeah.
like, "Can you come in right now?" And I'm like, "Yes." And I raced over there. I had an interview and hired on the spot.
Wow.
And that's what got me thinking, like, this happened for a reason. I
Mhm.
want to be a wedding planner. So I started researching it. Okay, there's Weddings Beautiful Worldwide I can do from home. So I got certified. I started my own company.
Yeah.
And then due to epilepsy and growing up with that, remember I had a really bad seizure, a grand mal seizure, and I was by myself. My kid was with her dad at the time, but I don't know what got into me, but the next day coming out of it was like a whole new me. Like, I guess I thought I was a photographer. I bought a camera. I created my website. I did sample photo shoots. I've been a photographer now 25 years, doing weddings, corporate, celebrity pictures, model pictures, everything. But I took the initiative to teach myself right from the comfort of home and not in that box. So there is a difference. And I loved hearing that. Yeah. So if a kid knows and they're going to public school, hey, I want to be a race car driver, it's not like the school is going to be like,
School's not
oh,
going to
let's put
support
you in a
that.
stimulator. Let's try driving, you know?
Right.
Exactly.
See,
Yeah.
I went through the public education system,
Yeah.
and even still in my 40s, I was like, gee, I wonder what I'm want to be when I grow up. Because I still hadn't figured it out, because the school system isn't designed to help you figure out what you want to do. It's not designed to start pulling out your genius. It's designed to get you to learn the same things that everybody learns. And so,
Yeah.
it's not there to make individuals. It's there
Yeah.
to
Yeah. Teach certain things, if certain curriculum, certain topics, etc. Yeah.
And
Now,
so, yeah, so our homeschooling model,
yeah.
again, it really helps children learn to follow their passions and find out what they're good at.
Mhm.
And then if, a couple years down the road, they want to switch out, then they could do that 3 or 4 times before they get out of high school and really narrow down where
What
they
they
want
want.
to go.
Mhm.
And then when they get to college, instead of thinking, oh, I'm going to college to get some degree to hopefully get this job, they're going to college with a focused idea. It's like, okay, I know I want to do this. This is the path that I need to take through college. And they get a very much more focused, and they don't even necessarily have to spend the whole time to graduate. They just have to take the classes that they need to get the information that they want, and then they can
Yeah.
go on.
And then
You
those who are
see, I
good
love
with
that.
their hands, yeah, those that are good with their hands, who know they want to go into construction, then they know they go to trade school. They know they go a different route, and they aren't pressured to do the college thing. Because I mean,
Yeah.
we had
Yeah.
our grandson just graduated this last year, and when we walked into the high school, they had all the seniors' names up on the wall. Oh, this one's going to this college. This one's going to this college. There's so much pressure
Much
for
pressure. Yeah.
only going to college. And we were like, well, wait a second. No, you just told us that you're going to join the National Guard. Instead, you're going to go be in the Army. Well, how do you fit on that wall? He's like, I don't get to be on the wall. It's like,
Oh, you see, that's not right. And I'm going to say that
no.
out loud. That is not right. Get a change in the system. I want to have a play
Yeah.
that says, I don't want to go to college. Nadine Malone.
Yeah,
Put me up there.
exactly.
So,
Yeah. And instead, they need to have those other things available. Those kiddos who don't want to go to college, they don't need to go to college if
yeah,
they
they don't
know
need
what
to.
they're going to do with the future of their life. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's worse enough. Like, you probably had other people talking about the things that can happen at public schools, other kids not getting along with other kids. And there's a big problem now with bullying. And social media doesn't help with that because it makes it 10 times worse. I was at a birthday party 2 years ago, and this girl is like at school, we got in a fight. They put it on Instagram and TikTok and just blew me out of the water. And you know what? I started to think to myself, like, oh my gosh, if that happened back to, you know, school, that's humiliating. I mean, who wants to go through that? I think with homeschool, you don't have to worry about any of that. You get to be, yes, you may get frustrated with mom and dad, but that's a given, and don't let pets interrupt you. And, your lunch is your lunch. Have fun, have that breathing room, but don't feel forced to accomplish so many things at once. Take your time and breathe and get it done right. So,
There's a lot of kids like with autism now, with other
ADHD, etc.
ADHD,
Yeah.
etc., that have a really rough time in school, and their parents know them better. So, let's say that they do have an ADHD, or let's say they have an autistic child that really likes dance and art and stuff.
yeah.
Instead of being, made fun of in school and only getting just a little tiny bit of art, then at home you could take them to art classes, you could take them to dance classes. If they really like swimming, you could take them to swim classes in the middle of the day when all of the other kids aren't there, so that they can get their time in the pool, they can have their
Yeah.
fun, they can start to relate to other adults. And one of the things that we found is let's say like the music class. If you go to if you really like music and you go to music class in a public school and everybody has to be there, there's a lot of kids who are goofing around, who are poking
Yeah.
and playing and not there. But if you take your child to a music class that they want to go to, and there's lots of children there that want to be there, then they end up with a different kind of a relationship where they work in cooperation with the people with what they're learning, and it's a much more fulfilling, beautiful kind of a learning environment. And so,
Yep.
yeah, if your child is different and having problems with bullying in school, then the homeschooling route is so much better, and they can get their socialization skills in those environments where there's going to be cooperation instead of that bullying and uncomfortableness.
You know what? I I was the person who was like, I didn't know the real difference, but talking to you guys today, I'm seeing everything in a very healthy new light. Like, I would want my son to be homeschooled. So, yeah, definitely. If parents could work at home, that would be different. And a lot of us in the corporate world right now, you hear talk of we're scared of AI. Is that going to take our jobs? And, it's like, what does the next 5 years hold for us? And, we're going to school for these things. Is it going to be like, hey, you know what? There's robots coming to take over everybody's job. Do we need to start learning how to fix the robots when they go down? What is it going to be? So I think, with that being said, it's also like safer, even with the violence that goes on at school. Nobody wants to have the fear of another, big thing going on in the news. Don't want to talk about it because that's just bad buju. But um, yeah, so I think it's the comfort of being home, understanding it, and they don't have to feel embarrassed if they have certain questions. Now, are the parents being trained like you can ask me algebra, I'm gonna be like, ask Alexa. I don't know. I never wanted to know back in the day, and I still won't know.
That's where we help coach through that whole process, right? So whenever a parent is getting to a point where they need extra help, that's where we go to the next step and help find them the people or the group or whatever that can help their child through that. So through a lot of different places, there's co-ops where parents will swap. Someone who does have that knowledge will teach a group of children for the rest of the families in the area. And then that parent gets to use their knowledge that they know. Maybe it is an art class or something that they
Cool.
want to give. So those co-ops and stuff really, really help. But then again, if your child is that attuned to math and want those higher level math, well, there's so many online programs now that can
Yeah.
also take care of that. The parent doesn't have to know all the academics. They just have to be willing to admit that I don't know that. We're going to research together, go find it. I'm going to find a coach. I'm going to find another teacher, a tutor, something that can help us over this hump that's hard, and then
Yeah.
just keep moving.
Yeah, that's why we call it a hybrid system, because we can help you. We can help you get set up online. And like I said, then you just have to make sure that your child is there. You don't have to be the one teaching them, because all sorts of subjects are covered in different onlines. So, but we're there to help coach you through it. We're there to help keep the schedule. We're there to make it easy for you so that it's not like you're trying to figure out how to do it all yourself. So we make the process simple. We help you step through it. We keep you on task, and we make sure it's all working right for you. So so you don't have to figure it out for yourself. And we give you the tools that you need. So we really like to help people get started homeschooling. But if that's not an option for you and you do need to learn how to navigate your school system, then we help with that too.
I was a teacher for 27 years. I kind of know these things like IEPs, 504s, what's the process of getting evaluated, those kinds of things that a lot of parents are really hesitant about, that can help coach you through it.
And we've had a couple of expert doctors on our program who wrote the book, The Wisest Learners. And the single biggest factor on how well your children do in school, homeschool, anything is actual parent involvement in an honest, true way. Not like, oh, how was your school day? But asking really good questions, being actually interested, going to the school and working with the teachers. So that level of involvement is the single biggest predictor, no matter what kind of education system your children is going through. That is the biggest key. So involved parenting, and the best involved parenting, if you can't do it, if you can't bring your kids out of school, get involved as much as you can. But if you can get your kids out of school and do it yourself, that is tremendously helpful.
See, I don't know if there's any other parents like me, but school orientation, they had a course for the kids, but then they had a parents segment, and we're there like, what was it, like 5:30 to 7 or something like that. But they gave us slips in different colors, and we had to go to each room and learn about a different thing. And there was only 3 of them, which was fine. But I think it was when I was sitting in the technology room. Everybody had a computer, and I'm like, I don't remember my password, for this program. And I felt like not dumb, but I was starting to feel like how a kid might be like, no, I don't want to go through this. There is so much technology involved. It's overwhelming for public schools. I mean, for some things like Skyward, and then you got Canvas, and this is your grading system, and you need to do this and you need to do that. And, we're doing new things. Kids get ID numbers, and it just seems like, I tell my friend she's not working, so she's a stay-at-home mom. I go, I'm sorry, I always come to you. But like when I'm at work, I can't read my personal emails with all this and be on top of my game. So I try to set aside out of the week, maybe like an hour and a half, to kind of go over all those announcements and be like, okay, is there anything I need to sign? I'll talk to my son and be like, are you doing okay in social media class? How are you doing at your football training and stuff? Like, what do you need help with? So I want to be that active parent, but also knowing that I'm living with my mom, she's grandma, and I feel like I want to talk to her, help me, please, keep track of this momentum going. So I think when family members, like, all can be involved in just cheering on the kiddo to keep going and going, that's the best thing. But definitely, man, I wish I had a home job now because I would stay there and so do a homeschool with Liam. And I know if he ever hears this one, he's gonna be like, "Mom, then do it now." Like,
You know,
Yeah.
the
and that would
biggest
be the
regret
next
that
step.
people have with homeschooling is that
That
they
you
didn't
didn't
start
start
it
soon
sooner.
enough.
I
And
know.
and here's another thing is it doesn't have to be the parent. You say you live with your mom. Your
Yeah.
mom could be the one who gets
Yep.
who gets him in front of the computer, who
Double
sits
check.
there and does stuff. So it doesn't have to be a parent.
Mhm.
If you have an older child that can watch the younger child as well, then they
Yeah.
can both stay home. So it doesn't have to be a parent. It can be a babysitter. It can be
Yeah.
anybody. They
Yeah.
just need to, especially with the online hybrid,
Yeah.
where they
Yep.
have where they just need someone to make sure that they're doing the work. And then if they need help within that, that's when they can come to us or they come to you. It's like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
having trouble with this lesson. It's like, okay, well, let's talk about that and let's figure out where the issue is and help resolve that. So that's
And the
you
other
know,
thing goes back to that flexibility is because, yes, you might be working a full-time job. Well, you don't have to do school and job at the same time. When
Yeah.
your child can be working on other things with grandma or whatever during the day. And then when you get home, even though you might be tired, that's when you can do, focus on the
All the
academic
other
a little bit,
yeah, that's
right?
yeah,
good.
homeschooling doesn't have to
It's
be
not
7 a.m. to
normal
3 p.m.
hours. Yeah.
It can be 5 p.m. to 9 p.m.
It could
You
be the
know,
weekend.
Nice.
It
it could
could
be the
be.
weekends. It's flexible to your schedule.
Mhm.
That's why it's so great for entrepreneurs, is
Yeah.
because entrepreneurs sometimes have real crazy schedules and on the road. And with
Yeah.
this method, you could be actually on the road and still be learning. You could take your
That's
vacation.
called road schooling.
You
And
could
it's been
take
a
your
lot of
Road
people
schooling, I
vacation.
looking at
like
that.
You could take your vacation and take your school with you, so
Yeah.
that they have a couple hours during the day of downtime
Wow.
where they're doing their school, and then they get to go play in the pool or go hike in the woods or go walk on the beach or
Nice.
whatever it is they're doing
That was
without missing school.
that was one of the funnest things, because one of the things that launched me into this was this thing called COVID. And I had to teach online at that point, but I
Yeah.
wasn't I wasn't a teacher that was just thrown at it. I was actually at an online school at that point that is there all the time. And it was amazing. I felt almost more connected with those students than when I was in the classroom, because the kiddos did go on vacation or they did go somewhere. I got to go see grandma's farm and I got to meet the turkey and the horse
Yeah.
and watch them ride dirt bikes and do all of these different things, because they took me with them because they were so excited. It's like, oh yeah, Mrs. Heagh-Avritt, I'm doing this today after I get off my lesson with you. It's like, awesome. That is great. So, it's amazing what can happen. You just have to let your brain think about it and
Yeah.
then take the bold step and then find the coach or the help that you need when you get stuck
Yeah, that's why we call it education at
at
home,
home.
or bringing education home, which is our podcast.
Yeah.
And we don't necessarily call it homeschooling. We use homeschooling because people know what that is, and what we're doing is kind of new. And so when we talk about education at home, they don't get it. But when we bring homeschooling and then we start adding on what we're actually doing, people's eyes going to go, wow, that's really
Yeah, I know.
amazing.
I'm like, wow, I'm excited. I'm definitely excited. And I want to watch your podcast. I mean, where can they find it? Like, I'm sure it's all over the place. So
It is.
what's the main website that people can go to?
So the title of the podcast is Bringing Education Home. It's on
Mhm.
all the platforms, Apple, Spotify, et cetera, et cetera. We also have our YouTube channel at Vibrant Family Education YouTube channel, and that has all of our podcasts up there uploaded in video format, right? And we have our own website. So if you type in www.bringingeducationhome, it takes you straight to the podcast, all 90-ish. Yeah, we're a little over 90. We have like 86 episodes, but then there's like 6
Yeah.
or 7 bonuses in there. So we have over 90 published.
That
Yeah,
is
and
so
we're actually
good.
launching a brand new website next week.
Next week.
So
Vibrant
if you check it out this week and then check it out next week, it might be a little different. It'll be a lot different. And so we're really excited about launching our new website as well.
It's always a good feeling to have that new website, rock and roll, and bringing it on, and watching your, new thing, your new niche and company grow and help other people out. It touches the heart so much, which I love hearing. Really quick, have you guys ever heard of snap bands? They are on social media like crazy, but they're another one of our sponsors. And what these do, they're beautiful. I don't know how well you guys can see it. Mine
There you go.
says hope on it, but they come with all different mantra words like peace and love. And it goes on. They got faith also, but they come in all different colors. So you can have the hot pinks, the greens, the reds, the blues, the blacks, the browns, and everything. Now, what's special about snap bands is it has this elastic on the back. Now, this is going to help you with any anxiety, depression, and I also say PTSD. With a gentle pull of this, and you snap, you would say the mantra word. Mine is hope. And every time I'm at the hospital, like tomorrow, I'm going to be praying over the person, the nurse who has to find a vein in me because it never happens. But with cognitive thinking, it helps reduce that. And oh my gosh, I've had mine on for more than 6 months now, and I really use it for that when I'm in the doctor's office or hospital, but it does help. Another great thing about it, now I did mention the word mantra word, faith. They do on their website, if you put in the promo code sorry, can't even talk, KHA, Keep Hope Alive, they will give you the word faith with whatever color that you would like for that bracelet that they have. Um, they're water resistant, so I can go in the shower, wash my dishes, go swimming. I have no worries about it. So, really good leather band and everything. To find out more about them, you can visit www.snapbands.com and let me spell it because it is a little bit different. It's SNAPPBANDZ.com. All right, let's get back. I'm sorry. Thank
So
you for
actually,
letting me do
that's
that.
pretty cool because that was a tool that I had when I was recovering from my traumatic brain injury.
Mhm.
They called it stomping the ants. And you would put a rubber band around it and you would snap it. So whenever you started having a lot of negative thoughts come on,
Yep.
you would
Cycle.
snap it
Yep.
and use a positive mantra. So stomping
That's
the
the
ants.
same exact thing with snap bands, and I love it because so many people are getting those right now, and just their whole concept, I never knew honestly anything about it. So as an average like Facebooker, I looked at it, I remember seeing it for their first advertisement. I'm like, "Well, what's that? They're pretty, but what is that?" I wanted to learn, and I had the pleasure of talking and doing a podcast with the owner on Keep Hope Alive. And it just grew. I love that they had hope in everything and going from there. So, but those different things are so important to have and just be able. And I love, kids always get anxiety. Well, so do adults. It doesn't matter. I still do. If I started my job and they gave me a book to read and said there's a test. And I'm like, tests? Like, I don't know why. I think I'm good at them, but my anxiety will kick in and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I got it wrong. But I was second guessing myself. Why was I doing it? But
Yep.
you learn as you go. And I think it doesn't matter what age you are. I mean, right now I'm 46 going, I have to learn more stuff. But even with the people I interview on the podcast and you too, you guys are probably learning new stuff about the guests all the time. So,
You.
but yeah, so
Yeah, the
definitely.
podcast is amazing in that way because our whole aim for that podcast, bringing education home, is to learn more about education, but also to bring the experts for families who need a little bit of help. So we have had communication experts, we have had brain science experts on there, we had nutrition experts, behavior experts, all those different people that families might need to hook into for a
Mhm.
certain problem that's happening with them, their family, or their children, right? We even had Oh, the laughing lady. Oh my gosh, there was a lady that we had on our podcast, and she had won the laughing contest. She was the best laugher. And we're like, okay, wait a second. How does this work? And then we went into the whole idea of what does laughing do for you and your family and your body? Is that
Okay.
release? Is that relaxation? And our cheeks were hurting by the end of that show because it was just so much fun. But all of these different things in our podcast, Bringing Education Home, then of course, after we give the tips, the help, hey,
Yeah.
parents, this is one way to get started. Then at the very end, it is a resource for the parents that they really connected with that person. If they really want to find out more, then the information is there. But it's not a selling podcast. It is an information expert conversation that really helps parents.
That is amazing, and I love that so much. So, got the podcast, and I know I asked you before, but I would like to see you guys do this. I would love to see you write a book about the journey and how good it is for people to go into this also, and then do it on Audible too. So, I always talk to people going either I get a lot of authors on the show,
Mhm.
but like I know I wanna write a book, but I just it becomes time management kind of thing too.
It
So,
does, yeah.
but you guys have a very great vision on what you're doing to help others. And I'm just going to say, I know you're going to go far in life. This is going to be truly amazing. You're going to be
Thank you.
helping so many parents and also kids. So I'm
Kids are
so
our
blessed to meet
future.
you.
Yeah, kids are our future. We can't let them down. We've got to change things and make things better for them because we
Yeah,
need them and they need us right now.
exactly. They really do. So we need to be that parent and be there for them and show them love is love. I mean, sometimes, our kids and parents can be drawn away from each other, but you got to find that way back together. Hopefully, a common ground. My daughter, I love to death. That's kind of like the school system. We come back together. I'm a grandma now as of last month. So
Oh, congratulations.
yeah, so that has brought us back into it. But, I did have to see a counselor with her, and, their advice is sometimes you got to step back and show tough love. And it could be the same, with when you're teaching. Yes, it's got to be this way, but I'm telling you this because I love you and I want to see you succeed in school. You know, my son comes to me, I have my whole life figured out, and he was 11. I go, "Oh, do you?" Because when they told me he was a genius, what he memorizes is football plays from past games. He has studied every single city and country on the globe. You can name something, and he'll find it within seconds. You tell him a picture of a flag, he knows exactly where it is. But the other thing that surprised me was he came to me and he goes, "Mom, I need to serve." And we haven't gone to church for like a year and a half. And I'm like, "Serve? Serve what?" And he's like, "We're going to church again, Mom." I was like, and he memorized a whole section and I was like, wow. So he was telling me after I become a pro football player, I am going to become a children's minister. And I'm gonna have a high-rise apartment and a mansion on the beach. I need a Bugatti, probably a Ferrari. It's like he has it all planned out. I go, "You better start saving that money of yours."
Right?
So, yeah. But
That's
just the
beautiful.
simple things and teaching, I love that his coach really thinks outside of the box, has gotten now we have a girl on the team, so correct me, boys and girl, to it was more directed, I think, for the guys, though, how to go and do interviews and how to tie a tie and be respectable and how to manage money that you be investing. And I love that. I even
Yes.
went to it and sat in. I was like, this is so cool. And it was just held at a local college down the road from us. And I was like, okay, he's teaching the boys what they need to. So he's taking that and adding
God,
on
coach.
to achieve those goals. So
Yep.
But yes, well, definitely. So we got your website, we got your podcast information. Am I missing any other questions I should be asking you? This is your time to shine. No
Not really.
elevator speech.
Right, that elevator speech. Well, we really, really want parents to know that they need to be empowered parents. They
Yeah.
really need to take charge of their families, take charge of their child's education, and don't believe the myth that you can't be your child's teacher because you teach them from the very first minute you bring them home. You are
Yeah.
teaching them from the very beginning. So to let the system tell you that, oh, you can't educate them at home because you don't know enough, that's not okay, because you
Yeah.
do know more than what you believe, right? And you
Yeah.
can find the resources that you need if you need it. So don't let the system tell you that you can't be your child's education teacher.
Oh my goodness. Yes. I like that. Yeah.
So the
You
tagline
know,
from our podcast is inside and outside the box. As a 27
27.
year teacher, she's very much in the box and I'm very much out of the box. Our school systems are broken. It's not going to be an easy fix. It took 30, 40, 50, 60 years to break them. It's going to take a lot of time to fix them. And if you don't want to wait for that fix, then take your children out of school. And by taking your children out of school, the more parents who do that, who take their children out of school, then the school systems will start to say, hey, there must be something really wrong. And that might actually be part of the catalyst for the change. So if you're unhappy with the school system, if you know it's broken, then don't wait. Don't like, hey, I know it's broken, but I can't do anything. You can do something. You can start educating your children yourself. You can take them out of school. That will start putting pressure on the school systems to make some of the changes that are necessary. Because if people don't stand up and don't start taking their children out of school and don't start showing up, then the school system is going to remain broken. It's going to remain fractured. It's going to stay messed up because there's no pressure to change. So we got to do something different because it's
yeah.
broken right now. Less than half of graduating seniors can read above a 6th grade level. It's horrible. And even in some of our school districts right here, right now, only like 40% of the children are actually graduating from high school. So many kids are dropping out. They aren't getting good enough grades to pass. And the way people are teaching to tests right now, if as soon as your kid gets behind a little bit in any subject, they have to be on the next page, the next day, the next page, the next day.
Yep.
And if they fall behind and they're messed up, then there is no catching up. And that starts messing with your children's self-esteem because it's like, oh, I'm not good enough. And
Amen
so
on that.
our
Yep.
system is broken. There's no way once a kid drops out or falls back, unless there's a lot of tutoring, unless there's a lot of help, then they just keep falling farther and farther behind. And it's horrible for the kids right now. So, our system is broken. And as a 27-year teacher, she could see from the inside, but she still has so many friends in there. She's not going to say it like this. Get your kids out of school if you can. If you can't, be there. Do what you can inside of the system, but it's going to take years to fix that, and do what you can outside of the system for your child as well. And any way you do that, having coaching and having help and having somebody to help you figure out what that is super beneficial.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my gosh. No, I love how you said it. That was amazing. I love how you just grabbed on. You got this. So,
She's actually kind
um,
of poking me in the back. She's like, calm down. And it's like, no, I'm the out the box. She's the in the box. I go out. And so
yeah,
that's, we got to get out of the box. We
yeah,
have to
I
find new ways to
agree.
do things.
And let's take care of our kids.
Yes, and that's what it's about, is taking care of the kids. And I know here in Texas, they've shut down a few elementaries and middle schools already. Not enough kids, I guess, in that one area, but it's hurting teachers too. They're seeing this impact also. So I think you guys, and I'm not going to say think, I know you're on the right path. and you're doing the right thing. So this is going to be good for our world. So, and you're giving people hope. And I love that. So, but thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it, guys. And just remember, if you have any questions for Kristina and Herb, you can always call us at 833-780-HOPE, which is 4673. And I promise I'm going to give them the message and we can do another, live one if we need to get those questions answered by them. Now, our website, we also have a voicemail on that at www.keephopealivepodcast.com. All our social medias, you'll find us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, sometimes X. I'm getting used to that one. I'm a very honest person. But other than that, we're on every platform wherever you can find your podcast at. Now, I want to thank our other sponsors who do make the Keep Hope Alive podcast afloat. So I'd like to uh, once again, we have Life on Record. That was your interactive guest book. So you had that vintage phone, and you can leave those personal messages for any event that you would have. I know I used one for my son's football team. The kid broke his leg, and all the kids called in to wish him to get better. So that worked out beautifully. Our next one was Snap Bands. This beautiful bracelet, as I mentioned before, that will help reduce anxiety, depression, and PTSD. You can find them at www.snapbands.com. Our next one is Ogden Ventures, Mr. Marcus Ogden. He is a former NFL player. He also has his own podcast and he is a speaker. You can visit his website at www.marcusogden.com, and that is MarquesOgden. Our next one is bridalshowsinc.com. If you are in the Dallas Fort Worth area, and listen to me, we have people from all different states coming down to see her show. She's been doing this for more than, I think, 25 years, but at least 5 to 6 trade shows out of the year across the Dallas Fort Worth area. You get to meet your event coordinators, your bakers, your caterers, your tuxedo makers, photographers, videographers. You get to meet them all and learn what that company does and maybe book your next vendor for your event. Our next one is Bryce Harney at www.brycemagic.com. Bryce is an amazing magician. I met him a while back and he's been on several TV shows and news stations, but he does big corporate events and also church magic, and he's a mind mentalist. So he can actually go in there and have the crowd going. So I tell people, go on YouTube and look him up at Bryce Magic, and it should pull it right up. Our next one is Miles and Smiles Events.com, Miss Deborah Rose. I love her to death. She does handwriting analysis and lipstick readings, and she is super good at what she does. She is accurate. I've seen her at events also working with other people, and it's like everybody's mouth just drops open like mine. So you got to check her out, get her for your next corporate event or even weddings. She's doing special things for weddings. All right, last one is Mr. Richmond Punch .net. He graduated from the Juilliards. He is a violinist for over 30 years. He's out on tour right now. He's performed in front of 1 million people before and been on 2 Lifetime shows with his violin work. So if you need a good violinist for your event, reach out to Richmond. But other than that, guys, I'm so excited you guys came on and you were a part of this podcasts that I love dearly. And I love sharing your message and meeting the both of you and learning a lot about the both of you. And I can see the happiness. You guys light up. You still have that glow. And I think everybody watching this one will see that too. So, but thank you so much.
The glow is the sunshine coming in the window.
I know.
Sunshine, yes. It's so dark. I just have this main light. I'm like, oh, the sun is still out, right? All right.
Thank you,
Well,
Nadine.
until our next show, love and light, guys. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Nadine. Have a great day.
You too.